Hi, Dr. Peel. This is Molly Doris, and this is my presentation on my counselor identity and theoretical orientation. In this presentation, I'm going to talk a little bit about the purpose of developing a counselor identity and theoretical orientation, and also what goes into establishing a theoretical orientation. I'll talk a little bit about my personal beliefs and values and other factors that established my theoretical foundation. Afterwards, I'm going to discuss what theory I've grounded myself in. And finally, I'm going to discuss how my Christian faith and worldview will play a role in my theoretical orientation and counseling practice. Halber and Halber state that a theoretical orientation provides helpers with a framework for therapy that sets the foundation for intentional counseling. Understanding your counseling identity and theoretical orientation is important for a counselor, but particularly important for counselors in training. In this course, we've learned about 10 major counseling theories, all of which have had appealing and unappealing aspects when I consider my own theoretical approach. Having a grounded theoretical orientation and counseling identity is beneficial for both the counselor and the client because it fosters intentional practice and consistency. Halber and Halber stated that the road to development begins with self-reflection. Numerous aspects of an individual goes into their counseling identity and theoretical orientation. In the article, Helping Beginning Counselors Develop a Personal Theory of Counseling, the authors discuss the 3 phases students go through to develop a theoretical orientation. Phase 1 is personal beliefs, and that focuses on introspection that explores personal values, beliefs, and motivations. Phase 2 is counseling theories, and that asks students to learn about and reflect on the different goals and techniques of different theories and how they relate to their personal values. The third phase is personal theory of counseling, and that involves students practicing these different theories and applying them to counseling situations. Through the classes I've taken so far, I have gone through phases 1 and 2 and have shortly begun phase 3. I've decided to highlight my personality type and beliefs through the Jung typology test, my inventory scores on my personal beliefs in relation to the counseling theories we've studied, and the Old Dominion University's Counselor Orientation Survey results to discuss how I've developed my counseling identity and theoretical orientation. My Jung typology test results show that I'm an INFJ personality type. This means I'm introverted, intuitive, feeling, and judging. INFJs are typically doers. Something needs to be done, so they are the ones that take the responsibility of getting it done. I find that I'm this way in my work, personal, and academic life. If something needs done around the house, I don't just sit around and wait, I just get it completed. If a problem at work arises, I'm the one who takes the initiative to begin solving the problem. In school, I find myself volunteering to take on any responsibilities and group activities that I can. Sometimes I see this as a positive trait, sometimes I think it gets me in some trouble. At work, I find myself in more trouble with this attitude than in other aspects of my life. At times, my boss would really just like me to hear what's being said and let it marinate and stop jumping to the first solution I have. In academic settings, I sometimes take on more than I can handle and find myself in more stressful situations than necessary. I can see this as being an issue in counseling because I may want to solve or fix a client's problems when they don't want me to solve or fix anything, they just want me to hear them. However, I also see this as a positive in counseling as well, because I can help motivate clients to find solutions and different actions to help improve their quality of life. INFJs also believe in systems that are not within technologies and sciences, but instead within humans and human values. I find myself considering who created rules or laws and inventions, and why they went through the process or believed something to be true. How systems work are a choice of humans. The system in which we run our lives comes from within ourselves. Having this belief, I think, is valuable as a counselor because I want my clients to feel in control of their lives and their circumstances. If I believe their system is within them, then I can assist them in creating a system that works best for their lives. INFJs are also very empathetic. This is crucial for a counselor in order to show a client unconditional positive regard. Empathy creates understanding, and understanding is what promotes healing. I felt like I scored fairly high on many of the counselor orientation inventories we took through the class. On the inventories, I scored highest in postmodern, person-centered, and cognitive behavioral. I would agree that many of my beliefs align with these theories. Main ideas these theories had in common, in my opinion, were the client being the expert on their own lives, that they all have stories that must be heard in order to understand them, but ultimately they are the author of their life. They can choose new ways of thinking and new ways of living in order to live happier and well lives. My lowest scores were in reality therapy, Adlerian, and psychoanalytic. These theories were dissatisfying to me because they promoted ingrained ways that humans were that could not be altered. There were specific needs that had to be met, and humans only function to meet those needs, and all of our behaviors were a result of those ingrained needs and desires. I'm a believer of free will, and these theories did not allow me to explore that freedom as much. Adlerian gave me more room, but I still had more discrepancies than with other orientations that we studied. On the Old Dominion Counselor Orientation Survey, I scored highly in cognitive behavioral, and I wasn't surprised by this score. I took the same survey during the first semester, and I found my scores to be a little different, but still predominantly cognitive behavioral. I was surprised, though, how highly I scored on psychodynamic and how low on postmodern and existential humanist, mainly because of my interest in person-centered therapy and narrative therapy. Halper and Halper state, though, that it's okay to have a variety of techniques within our counselor orientations, even ones that branch out from our main identifying orientation. Through the inventories and survey, and through my research on my personality type, I've concluded that my counseling orientation leans towards cognitive behavioral therapy. When looking back on my role plays, I realized that many of my typical strategies aligned with cognitive behavioral as well. I often spoke with my client about what she thought and how those thoughts made her feel. I also was very focused on the present, and I struggled to find connections to past experiences, which is something I hope to improve upon. But it's my natural bend to focus on the present. CBT also believes that thoughts and behaviors have been learned and can be relearned, and that allows people to be the authors of their own lives and supports free will. Understanding what we believe is important when it comes to understanding our thought process, because our thoughts are a product of our beliefs. Identifying those beliefs, one of the goals of CBT, promotes the learning and relearning of thoughts and behaviors, and therefore emotions. I have found that my personal beliefs and how I practice counseling aligns very much with the foundation and the goals of CBT. I don't believe that someone who is a Christian can deny that aspect of themselves in any portion of their lives. We live our lives through Christ, and that will show in our work. However, I've come to notice that I'm not comfortable integrating faith into my practice. I believe the way I live my life as a Christian will show a godly life to my clients, but I believe it's something that I will openly involve in my practice as a counselor. Saying that, though, my motivation for being a counselor is grounded in my Christian faith. Jones and Bittman stated that Christian faith should inform and shape our psychology, even if it does not propose a specific psychological approach. My faith shaped and formed me, opened me up to my calling to counsel, and helped me develop my counseling orientation. I am constantly reminded of Ecclesiastes 4:9-10 when considering my motivation to counsel and the importance of counseling. Two are better than one, because they have good reward for their labor. For if they fall, the one will lift up his companion. But woe to the one who falls and does not have another to pick him up. Counseling is a support system. When people fall, they need a companion to help them rise. Though my faith is not openly and blatantly shown to my client, I hope they will feel the love of Christ through my love for them. I have used all three phases as discussed in the beginning of this presentation to establish my current theoretical orientation. However, the more I practice and apply a variety of techniques, I will strengthen my theoretical orientation and I'll be open to change. A counseling orientation can shift and change throughout life and is best explained by Halber and Halber's text as an ever-evolving process. Being open and receptive to new ways of believing and understanding is a counseling responsibility. Currently, I'm grounded in CBT. However, life will give me new experiences and new stories, and my beliefs will shift and I'll be open to that experience. This is a list of references I used for the presentation. Thanks for listening.